Hey Austin, welcome back. How are you doing today?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for asking.
Doing okay. Well, I wanted to kind of pick up where we left off last week, and just kind of talk about we were maybe thinking about making some changes in your social interactions,
Mm.
or maybe just trying to address some of those challenges. And I wanted to see where you were at with that.
Yeah, I've still been feeling isolated. I
Okay,
think it's different depending on the day. But
sure.
it's been really tough for me because I feel like I see a lot of other people around me forming these really good connections, and I really want that. And I, when it comes to socializing, though, I just find myself freezing up
Hmm.
and not putting myself out there.
Okay, and you kind of mentioned deep connections. Do you feel like you're not able to have those deep connections? Why do you think that you see other people doing it and it's not something that maybe you could have or do?
Well, I went to a party this last month, and that in itself was tough for me. I think putting my I struggle with parties in general, but it was a work thing, so I thought I'd go, and I just struggled to bring myself to have a conversation with people, and I would then look around and see everybody else having a good time, and I kept thinking to myself, why am I not?
Yeah,
Why can't I?
yeah. Well, first I want to say that, parties, situations like those can be, it's understandable that those can be a little bit more difficult. You're really throwing yourself in the deep end with something like that. But I kind of want to ask what thoughts and feelings were you having during this party, or maybe during a certain social interaction? Why do you think you were freezing up?
I'm always afraid that I'm going to sound stupid, or that I'm ultimately a boring person, and I kept imagining that everyone is just they were just judging me, and I
Mm-hmm.
and not I'm so afraid that they just don't like me.
Yeah. Well, those thoughts are fairly common, and those insecurities and thinking that somebody thinks that you're being awkward or anything like that. Those are very fairly common things to feel in your situation. But what what do you think would happen if somebody judged you?
Ultimately nothing. Like I don't know. I know it's judgments don't necessarily mean anything. Like people judging you, or there's nothing substantial behind it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't not hurt. So I don't know. I struggle to like myself already, so I worry that other people are gonna just validate that feeling.
Hmm. So you're maybe a little bit afraid of somebody validating some of these ideas that you already have about yourself
Mm-hmm.
and latching on to them. Okay. Well, can you ever, think of a time where you did have to do one of these social interactions and that went okay? Or maybe a time where, maybe you were judged and handled it okay?
The I think the times that come to mind the most are at work.
Okay.
Um, we will do a lot of, of meetings. My job allows me to do a lot of individual work
Mm-hmm.
as I'm working with students, but it's kind of up to me to determine lessons and stuff like that. But when we have meetings with other teachers, I feel really confident in myself and my ability to talk about what our students need, and really good ideas of how we can implement new ways to engage our students or make them feel more comfortable or welcome. And yeah, work is the realm that I feel the best at, but I just can't. I struggle to bring that to friendships and social aspects.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like you kind of struggle to translate that to other things. And what I would kind of want to look at here is maybe, though work seems to be different for you, maybe those situations aren't so different. And I kind of want to ask why do you think that you do feel better at work? It sounds like you're very passionate when you talk about it and you know what you're talking about, you know everything, and why do you think work is this place where you can be a little bit more confident and not as fearful?
Because I have no fear of judgment. Because I want what is best for our students, and that is not something that I falter on. I feel confident in my passion for my job, and I feel that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to that. But I think I don't know. When it comes to social aspects, I'm worried my passion is gonna bore people.
Well, I think it's amazing that you are able to have this passion and therefore, have some confidence instilled in you when you have discussions about your job and what you're doing, and you have a lot of faith in yourself with that. And, I really do think that that can translate into social situations. I mean, you do, you know yourself, right? And your experiences, your thoughts, your understandings are absolutely valid, and I think people would love to hear that. In fact, I think people would love to hear about your passion for your job even. um, so maybe how do you think you could translate some of those emotions that you're feeling from work and you're passionate about talking about those things? How do you think you could maybe translate that into social dynamics?
It's funny that you ask that, because this is one of the first years that other teachers have asked me to come out and hang out
Mm,
after school with them, or maybe grab a
yeah,
beer with them.
that's amazing.
Um, and yeah, it has been amazing. It has made me feel really good because I get to have that social interaction, but also talk about the thing that I'm so passionate about. And so it's been a really nice introduction, I guess, into being able to talk to people.
Yeah, I could see that being, an incredibly perfect stepping stone because it's kind of translating into what you are already passionate and where you feel confident into more of that social setting. And so it's kind of good practice for the social setting while also being something that you're comfortable with. And at these social settings, do you talk about things other than work
Yeah, sometimes,
sometimes?
sometimes.
And how does that go? Does it feel, is it pleasant?
Yeah,
Is it
it because of my comfortability with the person, and that we had already been talking about teaching. Granted, this has only been once or twice, but I feel that the other conversations are much more natural.
more natural? So it kind of sounds like a big part here is, being comfortable with the person. And do you think maybe that could come from feeling less judged from somebody you already have rapport with? Or, do you think there's an aspect here of being more comfortable with a person that makes these social interactions a little bit easier for you to, you know, handle and navigate?
Yeah, I I definitely think the comfortability with the person can be a big part. Um, I don't know. It is really. I don't know. You help me kind of reflect on being able to talk about my passion in teaching opens me up to be more comfortable and confident
Yeah.
in other things that I talk about. So
And I think it's a great conversation starter, even in,
yeah,
just everyday normal social interactions, I think it's definitely a jumping point that you could use.
Yeah. And I think it's good to, I think it's helpful that I am doing it with other teachers that I work with, because it not only am I building, I feel like I'm building not only personal relationships, but I'm also helping in my career realm as well.
Yeah,
Building those,
absolutely. Do you think that other benefit of the career has any impact?
I think it just helps me be more confident.
Great. Yeah.
I think confidence has been an issue with me, and
Hmm.
my job has been the first time that I feel confident. So maybe using that to my advantage to be more social could really benefit me.
I think that's a great idea. I think it's a great starting point. I mean, you want to feel comfortable, you want to feel confident in yourself when you're dealing with these kind of difficult social interactions, and I think it's a great jumping point to go off of. And now I want to kind of ask what are some of your goals moving forward in these social interactions? What do you think you could translate into, you know, work, these like social interactions
Mm.
with work, coworkers, how you could translate this into other social interactions? Maybe, having comfortable people.
The teacher who invited me said that he goes pretty much every week, and I think that
Hmm.
would be maybe making that a habit, or being more consistent with that will make me feel more confident in general, and that might push me to be more social outside of the professional realm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great practice and it's with somebody you're comfortable with. And also, maybe the aspect of it being this kind of, there's more of an expectation, having it more routine.
Mm.
You have a little bit more autonomy over the situation and
Yeah,
it's
because
not
I
as much of
think
a surprise.
I do have a lot of anxiety from just the going, like, I get so scared about going out, so I think putting myself in those positions will help, maybe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it'll help manage my anxiety in general with social experiences.
Absolutely, putting yourself, changing the dynamic and putting yourself in previously scary situations, but in a more comfortable way. There's things that we can do to make it a little bit more comfortable of an experience for you. So, somebody that you know and trust, on your time basis. There's things we can do to make it more of a expected, comfortable
Yeah.
route that won't be so intimidating to do.
I I'm hoping that maybe next time we could talk. I want to try I want to try this consistent kind of going out with someone and see how that makes me feel, and maybe next time we can talk more about how to manage the social anxiety not with work people.
I like this. I like this. So kind of maybe the goal that we're setting during this session is to take advantage of, some of these easier opportunities, and we'll kind of put the harder ones, more random, spontaneous social interactions, we'll put those on the back burner, and we'll kind of focus on these expected ones that are a little bit more comfortable and use that as a jumping point
Yeah.
into these harder ones.
It
I
just
like that.
it feels a little bit more doable for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for this goal, how capable do you feel of kind of sticking to this and meeting with people that you're comfortable with, maybe from work?
I feel very confident that I can, because it's already set in place.
Yeah.
They go every week, so it kind of allows me to decide if I want to or not. So I think I can definitely keep that up till our next session.
Yeah. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how, prepared do you feel? How ready do you feel to enact this goal of doing this kind of weekly interaction with people you know and already?
I think I would be more at a 6
Okay.
if it weren't for that it were coworkers, and
Mm.
that puts me kind of more at a 7 maybe.
Oh, okay. Okay, so
Having that comfortability really is making
yeah,
me feel better.
definitely changes some things.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Well, I think this is a great goal to start off with, and I'm excited to see where this goes. And I'll see you next session.
Thank you so much, doctor. I will see you next session.